Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So it's been a while since I uploaded, but anyways, so let me set up the context for this video. In this video, I'll be showing you one of the many projects that I've created. So what is this project known as? This is known as Catalyst. So what is this Catalyst? This Catalyst is a code execution engine. I will come to these steps later on, and I will also give the GitHub URL in the description. So what is this Catalyst? So if you have ever visited platforms like LeetCode, Codeforces, or any other coding platforms, so on these platforms, a user comes, they submit their code, and these platforms they return back a response. Okay, so that is the crux of these websites. So how do these websites work? So a user comes on their website, they submit their code, and these platforms somehow execute the code. But how do they actually submit the code? The browser, they don't know how to execute the code. So what do these websites do? They execute the code on one of their many servers. Let me say this is one of their many servers. So they they put the code on one of these servers, and a code execution engine, let me just say code execution engine, they actually execute the code, and they return back a response. But you might ask that why don't these servers directly execute the code on their machines? Why use a service like a code execution engine? As you know, the user can send some fishy or dangerous piece of code that the server doesn't want to execute, or this piece of code, it can corrupt its servers. So there can be multiple reasons, but one of the primary reason is safety. So these servers, they delegate the heavy lifting of a code execution to one of these services like code execution engine. So this is the primary reason, but there are other reasons, like a code execution engine gives you other flexibility, including memory and time limit on this code execution. So let me give you some examples of this code execution engine. So there are very famous one. Judge0 is very famous, and there is also Piston. So let me go to their websites like Judge0. So you can read their documentation, you can call their API, or you can run it directly on your local machines, but I will leave that to you. So but if you ever want to create these platforms like LeetCode, Codeforces, or any other coding platforms, or you just want to use this code execution engine in general, you might encounter a problem, because these platforms like Judge0 or Piston, they are not really very beginner friendly, or they are not very intuitive. So you can read the documentation, but especially for Judge0, it is really very difficult to just run on your local machine. So, and I think this does not run on Windows, so you need to keep that in mind. So I was also creating platforms like LeetCode, Codeforces, so I encountered a problem because they were not really beginner friendly. So I just created my own engine, which is known as Catalyst. So if you want to use it, you can. It is really very easy to use. So you just need to go on my GitHub account /Catalyst, and the instructions are very clearly given. So you just need to you need to clone the repository, you need to sudo into it, and just type in npm run production. So let me just type in npm run start to just start this on my local machine. And this is also sandboxed, so the user can try some fishy code, but this is a sandboxed, this has a sandboxed environment, so code will not really affect on this machine on which I'm working on. So I think yeah, this has started. So if this has started, you just need to go on localhost 2000, and this will show up. So this means you are correctly using it. So the Docker image is quite heavy, around 2.1 GB, I think. So, but that's okay, because this is very easy to use. You can go on to over here, and you can also read the code base. It just runs on around 200 lines of code. So you just can go and read the code base. It is very easy to use. For example, like if I want to execute the code, I have examples right here. If I want to use this C++ code of just executing, of just executing some piece of code. So it takes 3 parameters: language, code, and a standard in. So if I just click on send, it executes the code. It says hello world, execution time, and standard error, and the language. Let me just give you an example in which there is some standard input. So this is C++ code, and this just adds 2 numbers, so it should show 101. So yeah, it just shows 101. So like similarly, there are examples for like Python, C++, Java. Let me just quickly run for Python. For 1 and 2, it should give me 3. It does give me 3. So for example, if you want to change some piece of code in this code base, you can, because I think it is very, very easy to understand. So there it just works on 200 lines of code, as I said. So this is just rate limiting. If you want to use it and change the rate limiting, so you can just change anything in this code base. So for example, this is for submit code, and this is just other stuff. So this is the main function that actually executes the code, and these are some shell files. So this just checks for if there is any let me just go on more simpler one. So for example, I think you can understand this. It just checks for if there is any input required. So like standard in, if there is anything, just if the input is required, then it asks Node just to execute this code. Otherwise, it asks it to execute this code. Similarly is for Python and for JavaScript, Java. So if you want to add other languages of your own, like Rust or Golang or any other Lua, for example, you can just modify some scripts and add a different shell file. For example, like rust.sh, you can change it, and you might want to also change this index.js. So it is very easy to use, and it is also very easily modifiable. So if you want to ever create platforms like these lead code forces, you can use this catalyst. I have created this because I was feeling difficulty in using Judge0 or Piston API. So that's that about it. Now I will show you another video in which I've created a lead code like platform. So that is it for another video. So that is it for this video. In the oncoming videos, I will show you some more exciting projects, like how to create your own GitHub from very, very scratch. So that is another idea for another video. So let's end the video for this now. So thank you for watching this. If you ever like this video, so give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one.